Welcome into the Jimmycat show here live on Twitch. It is the last show of the year. And as you can tell, I got someone joining me for this one here. We're just going to get right into it here. We do apologize. We've been having little technical issues to start off the stream. Happy Friday to us. But joining me at this time is a man of many voices. He is the voice of the Oakland University Athletic Department. He is the voice of Detroit City FC. He is a man who loves golf and family just like he hates candy corn, which is a lot. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome Neal Ruhl to the show. Neal, it's been a while, man. How you been?
With you. Certainly appreciated the time you and I worked together on broadcasts and stuff like that. Anytime you ask, man, I'm here. It's good to be here.
I appreciate it, man. I appreciate it, man. It's been a while. For those that don't know, we used to work together for Oakland basketball. We've seen the highest of highs, the lowest of lows, and then somehow Northern Kentucky comes in and ruins everything just because. So
We've seen it all. Yeah,
yes,
you're right.
we've seen it all. But let's talk about Oakland for a little bit here to start because they always have a tough non-conference schedule. You start off with three top-ranked teams. Back-to-back number ones in the country, in Purdue and then Houston. How would you grade Oakland's non-conference schedule so far?
I think it's been pretty good. Just from the standpoint of, and you mentioned it, and like, look, like we got a lot of headlines, obviously, for playing the back-to-back number one teams in the country. Nobody had done that in like over a decade or 2 decades or whatever that number was. But the moral of the story was, like, it was pretty much the most difficult schedule in the nation. There isn't really a lot of debate from that, but I think, and like, look, the general sports fan doesn't understand this, but when you're a zone defense team, I think in this transfer portal era, you're going to see things like this. I would call it a success based on where we were in the game against Michigan, where we had a JUCO transfer, Isaac Garrett, who is certainly on his way to making a lot of money playing college basketball. He's been very, very good. Isaac and I sit next to each other on the bus on the way back from Ann Arbor. And he said to me, he said, Neal, I've never seen anything like that before, i.e., the 7'4" center they have. Like Michigan's three is 6'9". He said, I've never been on the basketball court with something like that before in my life. And it showed, and certainly in the first 10 minutes of that game, it showed. Defensively, it showed. But he also had 20 points and he was 8 of 10 from the floor. And like, look, Oakland got cooked in that game. They'll be, the players and coaching staff be the first one to tell you that. But we saw some things even in that game, and then they continued to manifest themselves. And then Oakland obviously, was level with Purdue at the half, had a lead in that basketball game multiple times. So you saw the continued growth. You go to Houston, everybody gets choked out at Houston. Like
Yeah.
they've got a long resume of if Houston were a UFC fighter, they are a ground specialist in
Mhm.
in college
Mhm.
basketball, and that's what they were. Um, had a lead at 2 minutes to go at UCF. They're in the Big 12. Kansas will be playing there soon. They'll win. The UCF will win a game this year, and you'll be like, "Wow, they won that game! Wow, that's incredible." The big thing was winning at Montana, though, and nobody ever wins in Montana. They've been to like 10 NCAA tournaments since the year 2002 or whatever it is. That was the one, and the continued progression of their play. I think Oakland's definitely going to be a factor in the Horizon League. They already are. They're 2-0. They have a front court that you don't see in the Horizon League, with three bigs, and Mike Hogue is coming. All those games I talked about at the beginning, Mike Hogue wasn't there, and that dude shows up on the scene. He's, his first like three games, he's scoring almost a point a minute. And we have a very, very good mid-major basketball team. We have a very, very good college basketball team, and that will continue to manifest itself. And at time of taping here, tomorrow at LCA, the
Yep.
game against Michigan State, another top 10 team in the nation. That's going to be obviously, a super difficult test. But I'm really curious to see, because I do believe there's something there. I have data to suggest that. I don't know that the common Detroit area sports fan understands that. So I'm hoping for a good showing from Oakland tomorrow. Not even just, to play tight or play well or even, win the game or anything like that. Because at Oakland, man, like you and I have talked about this privately before, it's a battle for recognition with the Detroit sports fan. I'm talking like
Yeah.
the Pistons fan, the Red Wing fan, the Tiger fan, the Lion fan, the guy or girl that's a Michigan and Michigan State fan, like just fans in the area. We captured a lot of those imaginations a couple of marches ago that you were a part of.
Yep.
This just even having a good showing, I think, will go a long way in that perspective too.
Yeah, I do want to talk about the Michigan State game, but we'll get to that in a minute.
Yeah.
I did want to bring up Baru Navarua, who going into this season, a lot of pundits thought he would be the Horizon League Player of the Year. He's been really, really streaky, and I cannot emphasize more really. And the last couple of games against Toledo, Northern Illinois, and Northern Kentucky, he's been not playing to the best basketball that we've seen in the past. Is there something going on with Baru that, like, Oakland fans should be a little bit concerned about when we go into conference play?
No, that's a byproduct of having three bigs, like we talked about. And if you look at Brody Robinson, like Brody Robinson's the one that has reaped the benefits of all that. He's been
Mm,
like a back-to-back Horizon League Player of the Year. I've talked about how dynamic he is from a speed perspective and everything. There are a lot of mouths to feed. I would say this, not stylistically, not NBA draft wise per se. Oakland is very comparable to Michigan from the respect of the level of talent that you have across the board. Like I was talking earlier, you know, Michigan has three bigs and their three is 6'9". In Horizon League terms, Oakland has the same thing. And you've heard me use this on the air before. I think Oakland's offense is going to be a lot like Tupac. How do you want it?
okay.
And how
Yep,
do you
you're
want
right.
it?
You're
Like
right.
that's how it's going to be. So I think a lot of it too. Here's another kind of comp. Um, I think it's going to be Oakland will be like the Detroit Lions offense of the Horizon League, where you're going to go with the flow and whatever is flowing and working at that time. You're not going to upset it just to get somebody else a touch. And everybody's on board with that at Oakland. And right now, Isaac Garrett, Mike Hogue, and like, Baru's still 13-5. Like Baru is what he's always been.
Mhm.
It's just like you said it, like preseason league player of the year. And Jimmy, like to get on a soapbox for a minute,
Go for it.
the preseason league vote is stupid. Like flat out, it's stupid. And it's not just the Horizon League. Every league, the Big Ten is stupid to do it. The SEC is stupid to do it. It's stupid everywhere. They give me a ballot. I'll go full disclosure. I vote in it, right? They give me a ballot. I look at these names. I'm like, I don't know who these people are because there's 10 new players, even on
Right.
Oakland. I don't know what Oakland's players are going to be. Oakland's players don't know what Oakland's players are going to be when they're in that system. So I think Baru, um, he was the name that everybody knew because he's the one that stuck around. So that was how people work, man. They're going to
Mhm.
vote for what they know. They're going to vote for familiarity. That's why you see people standing outside the polling stations when you go to vote, right? Handing you a bumper sticker or whatever. Like that. That's the way that it works. So, but Baru's fine. The
Okay.
front court's fine. I've seen them beat a lot of high level competition this year. Everybody will end up being what they be. I'll just say it like that.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Speaking of the Horizon League, you said yourself, Oakland's 2-0 in conference play. Some big wins, especially against Purdue, Fort Wayne, and Northern Kentucky, who, they're always Northern Kentucky specifically, they're always there in conference play. They're always causing chaos, whether they're in first place or in sixth place. They're always there causing chaos. I've always equated the Horizon League and coined it the Conference of Chaos. Any prediction that you could come up, toss it out the window when it comes to tournament time. If not Oakland winning the Horizon League this year, who do you think would take that mantle?
Um,
I know it's
I
difficult
haven't
and
seen,
everything.
yeah, I haven't seen and like it's different for me, right? Because I'm not a coach, so I'm a commentator. So
Mhm.
I'm working on the next game, and I don't worry about the game after the game until that next game is over. But with that being said, from what I've seen so far in kind of a limited sample size, I know Milwaukee got a lot of the accolades coming in. I see no reason to think that they won't be a factor. Uh, that win at Northern Kentucky showed me a lot though for Oakland. Going back to what you said, I
Mhm.
would equate that again. If you're just a general Detroit sports fan watching this, maybe you're a Michigan State fan or a Michigan fan. Winning at Northern Kentucky is kind of akin to winning at Illinois in the Big Ten. Like it's hard to do.
Mhm.
It's hard to do. And you in your description of Northern Kentucky kind of equated it. They are like Illinois. They win it about every 2 or 3 years. They're always in the mix. They always have a say. So that's kind of how I would equate it. I just had a lot of people said the fall off was coming with Northern Kentucky. I didn't see it. In the game that I called, I didn't see it. I know they're 1-2 in league play, which goes to show you how even more valuable that win was at Northern Kentucky. They have not quote unquote fallen off like everybody said that they were going to. So again, I think it goes back to what you said. There's going to be like a lot of meat in the middle of all that with the Horizon League and Wright State, Northern Kentucky, all those teams. So yeah, I mean, again, that's a long answer to your question
Mhm.
to say, hey, I like what I've seen from Milwaukee so far. Northern Kentucky certainly will be in the mix, and then there'll be somebody that you probably don't expect to be up there in the mix as well. Robert Morris and Youngstown State are there. The Horizon League has it's always been top heavy, quote unquote top heavy,
Yeah.
but there's more teams in that top heavy now than there have ever been before.
Gotcha. So we've alluded to it earlier in the show. A big game on Saturday. You're going to be there broadcasting. I'm going there as a fan. I'm actually really excited for this one. I actually get to go as a fan. I don't have to worry about working it. It's
There
great.
you go.
Um, Obviously, Michigan State is a national powerhouse. They're a blue blood. When you talk about March Madness, Michigan State and Tom Izzo, they're always there. Is there any part of the game going into Michigan State where Oakland may have some sort of advantage against Michigan State?
Oakland can score the ball at an elite level, like top 70 in the nation level. Whenever you can score the ball, you're capable of doing some things because the name of the game is to put the ball through the net, and
Mhm.
Oakland can do it with the best in the nation. And like, look, I'm not going to be obtuse and sit here and say, Oakland should win this basketball game, and if they don't, it's a monumental disappointment. No, that's not the case. But
Right.
what Oakland does well travels, right? Like if you can score the ball, you can win the game. Now, with that being said, the level of talent that Michigan State has is very, very high. Obviously, I got done doing the prep for the game last night, and I was like, wow. And here's the difference with the Michigan State team from the Michigan State teams of last year or the year before. And this is just me kind of spitballing through my experience. When I put together their roster chart of how I like to do things, they have guys that make shots at an elite level, and that hasn't always been the case. They got dudes that are dudes, plural, like more than one. That's the definition of plural. That shoot the three at an above 40% clip on volume, like not 4 for 10, like they do it on volume. So there's a resume to it. So with that being said, Oakland zone that they play, Michigan State. If I were going to give you a cookbook and a recipe for Oakland to win, uh, have Michigan State get content with kind of firing up threes, which sometimes you do when you play against a zone and you're not used to playing a zone, and they can't make them at a 60% clip like Eastern Michigan did. Like Eastern Michigan literally shot it. It was right around 50% for the game,
Mhm.
but they were like 65, 68% from the floor. Like if they shoot it like that, Michigan State's not losing to anybody. They're not losing to Oakland. They're not losing to Kansas. They're not losing to Michigan. Like they're going to cook anybody. So it is. It's just it's such a charged atmosphere, and you're going to be down there tomorrow as
Yep.
we tape this on a Friday night. We usually bring about 6-ish to 7,000 ish fans. And I put it like this: if you want to know, by the way, go to 313presents.com to get tickets. By the way, but with that being said, uh, the highest attendance for a basketball game in the history of the Palace of Auburn Hills is not the Pistons in the NBA Finals. It's not Pistons Bulls. It's Michigan State Oakland in 2017, 16, the year we had Kay Felder. Um, we went to overtime, and Michigan State was the number one team in the nation, and we went to overtime. The highest attendance for a basketball game at Little Caesars Arena is not the Pistons playoffs against Milwaukee. It's not opening night this year. It's not Pistons Celtics. It's Oakland, Michigan State when we had Kendrick Nunn and that play, and it was a tie game with 3 minutes to go, and the place was electric. And Michigan State fans, and like, look, I'm neutral in it.
Hmm.
I don't have, a horse in the race between Michigan and Michigan State fans. But I'll say this. Michigan State basketball fans are greater than Michigan basketball fans. I will say that
Hmm.
because I have experience in it. And that I believe it was that day that we played Michigan State. Um, I don't want to say that on the record because I'm not 100% sure of that. But anyway, the moral of the story is we've done this at Little Caesars for a long time. It's the highest attendance game in the history of Little Caesars Arena. Michigan played a game at Little Caesars Arena. It was nowhere near that. And that is part of the atmosphere. It's the Oakland fans and the Michigan State fans. It's 6 to 7 thousand Michigan State fans. It's 11 to 12 thousand Michigan State fans. And it's a tie game late in the game. The crowd is roaring. Like and look, Jimmy,
Hmm.
I've been to every major college basketball arena in the nation outside of Cameron.
Yep.
North Carolina, UCLA, Gonzaga,
Kansas.
Michigan State, Michigan, Kansas, Syracuse. We've been everywhere. That building, when Michigan State plays Oakland, is one of the top five loudest buildings, and they occupy a couple of the spots for the top five loudest buildings I've ever been in before in my life. I'm happy you're going as a fan, Jimmy,
Hmm.
and I hope that everybody gets the full experience. I'm really hopeful for that, man, because that is college basketball. It's elite level college basketball, and really, like, look, everyone plays 100 conference games now, and the Big Ten's playing. What are they playing? 60 conference games. It's like an NBA season
Something
for
like that. Yeah.
for Michigan State. Not every game has, especially in non-conference games, going to have that kind of juice that will be in that building tomorrow. It's electric, and it's great to be a part of.
Yeah, I'm really excited. I've always looked forward to those games, and I always try to like pawn off, the associate producer at the time, but no, always something else happens. But
Yeah,
definitely excited for the game. And the thing also that people may not know about this game, whenever Michigan State plays Oakland at East Lansing at the President's Center, it's a one-sided affair, but when it's at LCA, it's always feels like it's a closer affair. It always feels like it's a closer game, and that was also the same deal at the Palace.
yeah.
So I'm
Well,
definitely really,
it's a neutral floor,
yeah,
right? Like,
exactly,
let's just keep it 100.
yeah,
It's a neutral floor. They're officiate a little bit differently, and that's like it's more like an NCAA tournament game
yeah,
in that it's called a little bit different. I'll just leave it at that.
yep,
I'll just leave it at that right there. But I will say this, Jimmy. Last year, Michigan State led 31-30 at halftime, and then
yep.
to start the second half, the horses got out of the barn a little bit.
We don't talk about
Michigan
that.
State kind of ran away. But yeah, I mean, it is. It's a great college basketball atmosphere and a great time too. Like at LCA, right? Uh, Michigan State, Oakland at noon. The Pistons play the Hornets at 7.
Yep.
Red Wings play at 1 on Sunday. And then the Lions play at 4 downtown. So, props to the city of Detroit. And how cool is it that, in some small way, Oakland's a part of it. I'm really proud of that. And you'll see tomorrow when you
Mhm.
go, the attendance, how many people are there, all of it.
Yep. Neil, before I let you go, and I appreciate you hanging out with us and everything night before the big game, I would not be doing my due diligence if I didn't bring up next year being the last year for Detroit City FC at Keyworth Stadium.
Yeah.
Obviously, they're building a new stadium in Corktown, bringing about 15,000 fans there. What is your favorite memory from Keyworth going into this last season with Detroit City?
It's funny because it's not going to be the most mainstream one, but it's always going to go back to this because um, it's personal. It's for the club. It's all of it. Tyrone Mundy, with the right foot.
Yep.
AFC Ann Arbor you know, uh, back when they were in the MPSL, and they won the regional championship, and there was 7,000 people in that building, and like it was NPSL, right? Third division, fourth division soccer, whatever you want to call it. But you didn't know that, like when
Yep.
that goal got scored, um, it was a big moment in the club's history. It was such a big moment in a lot of people, a lot of supporters' lives. Um, I've signed autographs. Like somebody asked me to sign a big picture of that goal, and write like "of course" on there, and they gave it as a wedding gift. Like they were Detroit City
Wow.
fans, and they gave it as a wedding. I never felt so much pressure signing an autograph in my life, right? Because my handwriting's awful, so like I wanted to make sure that it was like nice because they were going to put it up like in the living room of their house. So um that's always going to be like my personal favorite. But they're you go to the
Mhm.
matches, like it's not a moment, and I think that's what's great about Keyworth. And Jim, it's funny you asked me that question. Today, as a matter of fact, they started demolishing the Southwest
Yes.
Hospital there, where the stadium's going to be built, and I saw it starting to be torn down. And I thought that's when it kind of became real to me today was, Keyworth is, we're not going to be at Keyworth. And when you go back to Caz Tech and an owner's dad that mowed the grass there for people to play, uh, I called the matches in a press box with clouded glass. And when it would rain, I couldn't see, out of, out of the press box and everything. And then you transition to Keyworth, and I think, the story's gotten kind of lost about how Detroit City fans kind of crowdfunded the renovation of the stadium, and Detroit City renovated the stadium. And when they leave to go to their new stadium, it was condemned. Like Hamtramck schools couldn't use it, and Detroit City fans put their money up to renovate the stadium, and then they were paid back with interest. Like what other sports team does that? Like in
Right.
today's day and age, nobody does that. They
Nope.
want more money from you. They're not giving you money back plus other money, but that's how Detroit City works, man. So I've always said this. Every single sports fan in Detroit should be a Detroit City FC fan because they're what's right about sports in a corporate. And like, look, man, there are certain things about sports teams now that you're not going to be able, they are a business. Like let's just get real.
Mhm.
They are a business. But with that being said, no business in professional sports is run the way Detroit City FC is. And when you look at it, it'll be sad, man. And I thought about it a little bit towards the end of last season. I really thought about it today. The place the place is not a technological marvel.
No.
But you've been there. Uh,
Yep.
yeah, you hope the urinal flushes and stuff like that. But that's part of it though, man. Like that's part of what makes it great. Like
Part of the
it
experience.
yeah, and like to me, it's kind of like the Tiger Stadium at the end, the Joe Louis Arena at the end. Like Joe Louis Arena had 4 bathrooms. You had to decide, do I want to see the second period or do I want to go to the bathroom? That was
Yeah.
like a choice you had to make. If you drank some beers, the choice was kind of made for you.
Yeah.
I, but Joe Louis was kind of a dump, right? But it was our dump. It was Detroit's dump. Tiger Stadium at the end had outlived, its useful purpose. And every day that I go to Comerica Park, who is now almost 3 decades old, I
Yep.
think to myself, like it's nice here, versus what Tiger Stadium was. But like Keyworth has that mystique to it, man, where we built this thing, and I say we, I mean Detroit City FC. Employees, ownership, fans, people that buy tickets, people that buy t-shirts, people that buy jerseys. And that's all of us. We kind of built that into what it is, man. And those magical moments that happened there, man, they were great. And it's very, very cool that we are going to have, Alumnify Field, and, from Caz Tech to building a
To
stadium,
this,
man. Think
yeah.
about that. It's incredible.
Yeah, it is. Neil, I appreciate you so much for joining us the show. If someone can go to the game, how can they listen?
Tomorrow we'll be on 1270 AM, the bet 97.1 HD3 for those HD radios in your car. And of course, on the phone, on the Odyssey app, just look up Oakland University basketball, click the play button. That's how it works. So, yeah, appreciate everybody tapping in. We'll be on air at 11:30 AM tomorrow. Tip is at noon. So, yeah, please tap in, man. If you're out, if your wife's got you, If your wife's got you out holiday shopping or whatever, and she's running into the store, you're sitting in the car, go ahead and turn it on. We appreciate you listening for sure.
Good to know some things do not change. Neal Ruhl, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. Have a wonderful broadcast tomorrow. And if I see you, I'll send you a picture from where I'm sitting.
Absolutely, Jimmy. Appreciate you as always, my friend.